Hello everybody, I'm 8-Bit Steve, and this is another 8-Bit episode of Steve's Quest. This is game number 185, Whomp'em. This is the very first game that the Mexican runner played on his quest to beat all of the games. I've been saving this one for quite a while. This is one of my most memorable games on the system. It was very obscure at the time for me. Not a lot of kids knew about this game or played this game. I'm not really sure about its commercial success as far as sales go, but I've always loved this game as a sort of Mega Man style clone game. Anyways, I never beat it as a kid because the last section of the game is very difficult, and I could never beat the end boss. But alas, in my old age, I was able to beat him with a little research and some practice. So let's talk a little bit about the game. Basically, you're an Indian, and you're trying to master different elements to get what's called the Death Branch. And once you get the Death Branch, it's a very powerful weapon, but it also damages you. Now, a couple things. So on the top left, I have hearts. Obviously, if I get to 0 hearts, I die. The little picture above that is what weapon I'm using. Currently, I only have one weapon, but as I beat enemies, I can get new weapons, just like in Mega Man. And once I get those weapons, I can hit select to cycle through them in the stage without having to go into a select menu, which is really cool. But unfortunately, it only cycles one way. So if you pass the weapon up, you have to cycle through the whole chain of weapons again. You have to be kind of careful of that. Now, power-ups and stuff in this game come from killing enemies, and they're also stationed in secret positions throughout the boards. So if you attack a certain pixel, it'll produce secret items. A couple items to talk about are the magic potion, which is the things I have at the top, the 2 potions up there. Those refill my health if I go to 0, so it's just like the fairy in Zelda. The weapon I have, the special item I have right now on the bottom left, is double damage. It basically makes my attacks deal double damage, but it's limited to the number of hits that you can do. You can also get a helmet, and that helmet will make you take half damage, which is pretty awesome. That's pretty much it for the special weapons, with the exception of the gourds. Those little things that I'm picking up that kind of look like white Hershey Kisses, those are called gourds, and as you collect them, they give you more hit points. So an interesting thing, and I'm not 100% sure this is true, but as far as I can tell it is. When I watched the speedrun of this game, the end boss had very little hit points, but I noticed that the Indian, the character that, the person that was doing the speedrun basically, didn't get any gourds. He didn't power up his hit points at all. Now, normally that's a strategy that you use for speed, because you just don't care. You're using skill to leverage for speed. But I think in this case, it actually makes the end boss have less hit points. I think his hit points are based upon how many hit points you have. Now, the little tooth thing that you saw, it basically makes me invincible. This is a part where you can kind of power up and get different items. You can conceivably get all the way up to max hit points there by just killing those snakes, by collecting gourds. It would take a long time, but you could do it. Now, there's some cool items in this game that you can get that can help you go faster and just generally help in general. Wow, it's been a long day, guys. But in any case, they sort of like in Darkwing Duck, where he has that arrow shot. There's a weapon in this game where you can throw it and it'll stick inside walls and you can jump on it, which is pretty cool. We'll get that in a little while. The order that you do the bosses doesn't really matter so much. However, some are easier than others depending on what items you have. I think this guy's the easiest one. Now I'm going to take some hits here, but really shouldn't. I'm just kind of going too fast. Also, if you hold up, it'll block. Just kind of a weird thing to do, and it actually is weird when you're trying to jump sometimes or trying to move. You'll accidentally hold up, and you can't walk forward while you're holding up either. So I had to use one of my magic potions there, which is not ideal. Alright, now that weapon allows the tip of my spear to spin in a circle, and it'll crush rocks. And that's useful on some levels, specifically this level, because there are flying rocks that come from the sky, and the only way to break them is by using that power-up. The little item I got there just extends the range of my attack, but it only works on the regular pole weapon, doesn't work on any of the other weapons. So basically, the basic gist of this game is just, you know, survival, really. You're just trying to take as little damage as possible, and also memorizing where the potions and stuff are. I'm pretty sure there's a magic potion here, which is why I'm doing this. I guess not. Maybe. There it is. I knew it was there somewhere. Part of doing the last level of this game is just figuring out where the secret items are, because you need to have 3 magic potions entering the boss, which is difficult to do because you take a lot of damage in that stage if you're not careful. So as you can see, this is very Mega Man-esque. The music is sort of Mega Man themed, and you know, just the level design in general is very Mega Man-like. It's much more simplistic than Mega Man, though. The levels are shorter, the enemies are easier, and there's not really a whole lot to it. It's really just the boss fights that it really comes down to for beating this game, specifically the last stage. The last stages are much harder than the regular stages, and the boss is certainly much harder than any of the bosses before, which isn't always the case for NES games. I found, you know, in my almost 200 games that a lot of times the bosses are pretty chump, and it's the levels that are really what you want to worry about. And also sometimes the end bosses are the easiest boss in the game, but that's definitely not the case here with Whomp'em. So I remember the only real memory I have, I remember playing this game a lot, you know, just casually, but I remember renting this game with my friend Matt. I don't really talk to him anymore, but we went to Universal Video, which is right near my house at the time, and we rented this and played it pretty much all night, trying to beat the game. We never did, obviously, but it was a pretty fun time. I spent the night at his house. We used to also, his dad used to have like a tent. We'd put a tent in his backyard, and his dad would run an extension cord out there, and we'd put a TV and just play, you know, whatever we felt like playing. It was pretty fun time. Alright, so I used all of my potions, but that guy is dead. Moving on to ice. I used the order. I am not really sure what that video glitch is, to be honest. I apologize for that. This is recorded in HD video, so I'm not really sure what that is. I'm having a lot of weird small things like that happening with my setup, but I don't always check the videos because it's just been so long since I've had an issue, and that's when usually I get an issue, is when I don't check it. Most recently, my friend Brad found some audio problems with my Russian Attack video. I think that was a combination of two things. The first thing is that when I record with my NES, the volume is a lot lower than with my AVS. So what I do is I just turn the volume up. I think I turned it up too high, and then I was a little bit farther away from my mic during that video record. And this really sucks. I think I might have to rebeat this game. This video just looks terrible. Well, we'll see. We'll watch the rest of it and we'll see what happens. I'm already recording the commentary anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. This boss is pretty easy to beat. If you just upstab him here, you can basically get him in an infinite loop where he never moves barely at all if you time it correctly. Oh, I'm getting a little slow there. There we go. That was close. He almost killed me. that power up there, that power up gives you a little cloud that you can ride on. The fire one just makes you shoot fire out of your staff, and it works on certain enemies, specifically ice enemies. We're going to be using most of them throughout the game here. And again, so this part's kind of weird. If you touch those TNT boxes, they just blow up and deal damage to you. It's completely unnecessary to do that. That's the only part in the game where those are at. So as far as the video quality here is concerned, this happens sometimes. It's happened maybe like 2 or 3 times aside from this one, where I recorded a video. I think it has to do with the capture software. Sometimes if I'm switching between composite and HDMI, so I'll start the capture software and it'll be in composite, and obviously I don't want that because I'm recording on the ABS. So I'll change it to HDMI, and if I don't restart the capture software, occasionally this will happen, and it like just freaks out and decides to pixelate all the video that it captures for some reason. But it's not so bad so far. We'll just keep going with it. Alright, so yeah, like I said, that shoots a little nimbus cloud. I'm going to try to do a little trick there. And I got it. And we're going to try to do something similar. So you can use that trick that I just used here, but it's a lot... I couldn't do it. I had a hard time with it. This part right here should be harder doing it this way, but it just was easier for me for some reason. I don't know. And there's going to be some fire rocks here, but nothing too crazy. Now you can hit this boss at any time. It does not have to be when he's out of the ball formation there. So I'm just trying to hit him when he comes down as much as I can. And there we go. Pretty easy boss. The speedrun uses the double damage on that guy and kills him pretty quickly. Alright, we're moving on to the water test. So downstabbing in this game is pretty much just like in Zelda 2. The sword goes basically on the right hand, whatever side you're facing. So you can still get hit if you're not really accurate with your down thrust. It doesn't go directly in the middle of your sprite, which you would think it would do, but it just would make it too easy, I think. So they didn't do that. Or perhaps, like most NES games, they just didn't think of something like that, and they just thought, hey, this is good enough to release to play. So, but as you can see, the potions are really important. You need to have them so that you can get through the game. Those what are those snails? They're super irritating sometimes because if you don't kill them quickly, they'll just go into their shell and become invincible. And they don't really move or do anything, but it can be annoying if they're in the way. So there's going to be some water, like a water element here. And what it does is it's like it's almost like Bubble Bobble. When you hit it, it kind of slides you down all the platforms, and it's not good because it'll bring you really far away unless you jump off of it. Unfortunately, there I could not jump off of it. Yeah, if it hits a platform and you're on it, you can jump and get away from it, but if you're in the air when it hits you like that, troll the crap out of you. There we go. Also, this ice is kind of weird. It's stronger than normal ice mechanics I've seen in most games. It really slides you when you move, and then when you try to change directions, it takes a really long time to get momentum built up. Alright, we're going to use the fire power up here to burn these little ice blocks and kill that guy in one hit. And generally the fire is pretty strong against most enemies. Some enemies it doesn't hurt at all, so it's kind of weird, but most of them it does. It has a really short range though. I find this boss to be kind of annoying. There's no real way to avoid his attacks, which is pretty poor programming in my opinion. At least not a way that I know of. I think the brute force method here is the best. That's pretty much the method on all bosses. That gives my staff ice. I don't think I use it at all. The only part I know that it might be useful is in the final stage. You can freeze some enemies, but I just never really found a good use for it. So I did this stage last because I have the hardest time with this stage. When I first started playing this game, I was doing the stage first, and I just could not beat it until I, practiced more and found some more power-ups and whatnot. But the boss of the stage really sucks because it's got a lot of RNG to it. It's random where the boss goes mostly, and so it can really troll you. Also, something that hasn't really happened yet, I don't think maybe it will here. If you have more than one potion on a boss, the boss can actually steal your potion and heal himself, which is pretty rude, honestly. But I guess they did that to prevent you from just like stockpiling a bunch of potions and killing the bosses really easily. If you get the boss in like a hit lock, usually they won't steal the potion, but if you let them move around the stage a little bit for a while without hitting them, they'll take the potion from you. So those leaves are sort of like a spring in Mario, but a little bit more forgiving because it doesn't require you to get full momentum to jump like the spring does. And we are almost there. So I switched power-ups here because if I attack with that weapon, I'll waste my double damage that I just got. Can't believe I missed him there. So if you just spam attack on this guy when he's spawning, you'll get an additional hit. So what sucks about this guy is he attacks in a diagonal pattern, which is really difficult to avoid given the limited moveset that you have. Like, you can't really jump on him and down thrust him, you can't up thrust him that well. You just get hit basically anytime you attack him. It's pretty frustrating. And as you can see, he stole one of my potions there. I had two. Alright, this is a web power-up. I do not know of a use for it. It wasn't used in the speedrun as far as I could see, and I didn't find any reason to use it, so... Now we're going to get the Death Branch power-up and move on to the final stage. Now, I'm going to let the video play through the final stage, and I'm going to die on the final boss, so spoiler alert. Then we're going to speed the video up, and then after that I will beat the boss. So typically I just try to run through this part. I tried jumping over it and like memorizing the moves, but it's just too annoying. And there's a full heal coming up here. Alright, so here we're going to use our little power-up I told you about earlier, where we can jump on the spears that I throw on the wall. And my full power-up is right there. There we go. They put some really tricky jumps here, and then you have to use the rock weapon to break these walls. And if you if you don't jump, you basically just take a whole bunch of damage. And see, like I said, just super irritating jumps. This level is significantly harder than any other section of the game, and there's really no reason to ramp up the difficulty this much. Alright, this jump is pretty easy, you just basically walk off, but this one here can be tricky. I missed it the first time, hopefully I get it this one. And I got it. Alright, there's a full heal on this stage here, so far so good. Personally, I just like the regular pole weapon here against these guys. Alright, so there's a couple different ways you can get past this part. If you touch those little tendrils down there, it throws you back to the beginning of the stage, which I definitely don't want, so I just don't risk it, and I just use the cloud to fly over that part. Because if you miss that jump, it's a really silly way to start the level over. So you can definitely do the sprite glitch trick where you get an enemy on the edge of the screen and just kind of despawn it. So there's that. I'm gonna use the cloud here to just kind of get over. There is a heart power up here, which I'm gonna use. I'm gonna have to turn off the cloud, I think, yeah. There it is. So when you get hit when you're on the cloud, it'll knock you off the cloud. So you have to be careful in this section not to fall in the tendrils. But I did a pretty good job there. Now there is a magic potion on this board, on this particular section of the level. And I'm pretty sure it's right up here. On this section here. Unfortunately, it got despawned because I bounced off that enemy. I tried to leave the stage to see if I could respawn it, but I don't think that's possible. So now I'm short a magic potion. Another thing I haven't talked about is when you're on the clouds there, it's constantly jumping you. Like, I'm not doing that on purpose. It just is, you sink into the cloud a little bit and then your guy automatically jumps. So it just constantly throws off all your jump mechanics. This part is also incredibly difficult and irritating because you basically have three choices. You can shoot left, down, or right, and each one pushes you in that direction with the fire stick. All while those guys are just coming at you from all directions, and you really can't avoid most of them. I'm doing a really bad job right now. There we go. Alright, I'm getting a little better at navigating using this thing. Man. You can see how aggravating this part is. Just by watching it, I don't even have to tell you about it. Alright. There are 2 magic potions on this section here. They're on the very last platform, all the way to the very last platform on the right, which is that one right there. We're gonna go get them. But you really need to have 3, so unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to kill the boss here. There is another potion in this section of the game. I've never been able to spawn it though. I saw the speedrun spawn it, but I just couldn't do it myself. So I'm trying to go slower to prevent damage here, and I end up just taking more damage. So the potion is supposed to be between those two pillars there somewhere. I just never was able to spawn it. We're gonna go for the boss here. So the way this boss works is, first he's gonna spawn some enemies, which I horribly screw up here and take extra damage for no reason. Now, if you use the Death Branch, which is what I just used there, it'll kill most of these guys in one hit, but it deals damage to you. And that's important for later because we're going to have to use the Death Branch to kill the boss, so we need to have enough hit points left to do so. Alright, so the boss spawns a little energy ball in the center of his body. The longer you wait to attack it, the more powerful the balls become when they hit you. So you want to hit it as soon as possible so you take the least amount of damage if they hit you. I missed with my shot the first time, dealing extra damage to myself. I keep getting hit by these balls instead of, just so many mistakes here. And now he's got too many hit points, and I'm not going to be able to kill him. You can use the little pogo weapon, the one that sticks in the wall, to attack the boss, but it only does half a damage of half a damage to the boss, basically. And I'm obviously going to die here. There it is. So I'm going to speed the video up, guys. Alright, here we go. We're going to try this again. I have 3 potions, and I'm going to be more careful. I like to alternate here. Fire, Death Branch, Fire, Death Branch. Perfect. Alright, so I'm trying to be more careful when I'm hitting the boss here, but I have a lot more hit points this time because of that 3rd potion, so it should be okay. That's really what you want to do, is you want to time it perfectly so that the Death Branch hits him right as it spawns it, just like that. It makes it really easy to avoid the balls because they're smaller, and it does a lot of damage to him, so... Doing pretty well here. Yeah, where we got him in the bag, there's no way we can die. Alright, one more hit and he's toast. Oh, there it is, guys. That is Whomp'em. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the ending. I'll see you guys next game.